My name is Dr. Benjamin Stone. I'm the CEO of Sigma Tactical Wellness. I was working in Vail, Colorado at the time, and one of the commanders, Craig Bettis, came in and asked me if I could design a program specifically for cardiac wellness for law enforcement.
We know now, after many years of research and data, that this job has a tremendous effect on you physiologically. That led me down a path, and along that path I came across Dr. Stone in Sigma and what the work he was doing in Vail.
We worked with Vail, Colorado initially. We screened 34 officers. Since then, we've screened almost 5,000. And it's been a really amazing journey in the way this company has grown in terms of its reach and expansion. We first started with local law enforcement. We now work in federal, state, and local. We work with Vail, Colorados of the world, all the way up to the United States Secret Service. It is a very tailor-made, structured approach to preventing a very preventable illness from claiming unnecessary lives, and that is heart disease.
So we began at that time working together as a partnership where Sigma would start working with Vail Police. We were the first group, if you will, to go through, and since then it's obviously grown into a much larger nationwide effort that focuses primarily on cardiac and metabolic syndrome.
Sigma Tactical Wellness is a cardiac and metabolic screening program designed to identify heart disease in first responders before that heart disease creates problems such as heart attacks, strokes, and other cardiovascular conditions. The problem that we face is that the incidence and the prevalence of heart disease in law enforcement and in the fire service is substantially higher than what we see in the civilian sector. So we see heart attacks in cops occurring younger and more frequently than we see in the civilian sector. So for example, in law enforcement, the average age of a heart attack is 46, where compared to the civilian sector, that's 67 years of age. There's a huge difference. Cops also have a life expectancy which is 22 years less than the general population. When Sigma Wellness engages within a police agency or a public service agency, we provide on-site cardiac screening. So we bring a team of a physician or a physician extender, an exercise physiologist, and a dietitian to the police department to go over the testing that we have performed. The testing that we do is state-of-the-art cardio and metabolic testing, and again, it is designed to identify the very early stages.
I think from an administrator standpoint, I see overall health and happiness come about through job satisfaction, performance, less sick usage, but the real benefit comes when they come knocking on my door and they say something like, you know, this is the best thing I've ever had in my career.
As a cardiologist and as a police officer, I've been in a relatively unique position to try to make a difference in police officer mortality. In other words, how do I keep cops alive? My skill set as a doctor and as a cop is not running traffic. It's keeping my fellow officers alive and in uniform and on the street and making sure they have a long, healthy retirement.
The doctor, and I can't remember which doctor it was that gave the results back here at DFW Airport, but the first thing he said to me after looking over my blood test results and my EKG, and he said, "When was your last heart attack?" And I was at first I thought he was joking, and when I realized he wasn't joking, I said, "What do you mean I haven't had a heart attack?" And he kind of looked at me like he was more concerned than I was. I said, "What kind of surgery?" He said, "You're going to need bypass surgery." And I said, "How many?" And he said, "Well, at least 3. Turned out to be 4.
And I've seen too many cases and too many scenarios where young officers have died from heart disease after they've just participated in a citywide screening. And that's what Sigma has fixed. We've deployed something that is effective, that is incredibly precise and entirely individualistic, such that when someone goes through the program, they either leave knowing exactly what's wrong and exactly how to fix it, or they leave with a clean bill of health. But there's nowhere in between.
You know, where I hope to see Sigma go, the passion that I have for this project and for law enforcement in general is that data in a few years is going to start to bring back that dial, right? What I want to see is law enforcement rates of cardiac death drop. So when they do decide to finish their career on their own time and go back and live and start their new life, that they have a long and healthy life to do that with.
I say it saved my life.
So much easier to prevent than react.
In my 22 years of law enforcement experience, this single-handedly has been the most important thing that I've been a part of in this industry.